Hey guys, and welcome back for another commentary in the ever-expanding collection of Disneython 2 commentaries. What an intro, what a performance. I am joined today by X-Gamer Richie, and we're going to cover a movie that's near and dear to our hearts, at least in terms of, like nationalities and whatnot. It's Disney's Robin Hood.
Woo!
That Nottingham hype, y'all. Shall we get straight into it?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, guys, all the syncing and technical information you'll need is in the video description, but as for us, we're going to get on with it. Here we go, in 3, 2, 1. Okay, here we go.
I have such fond memories of this film.
It was released in 8th of November 1973, and that's it, I am fresh out of trivia.
It's fine, I have far more than is necessary to get us through what is actually only an 83-minute film.
Yeah, for this, animated adaptation of classic British lore.
Yeah, so I've got so much, so be prepared for Richie's full geek out during this film.
Well, that's why I asked you to do this commentary with me, because we very rarely get to wax, lyrically or nostalgically about Nottingham.
It's very true, although obviously if anybody has watched the Rodea playthrough, they will know that it does happen.
How did you feel about them just going with animals for this adaptation?
Well, because I first watched this film as a kid, I really didn't care, and I still don't particularly care. It's just a fun, cheery adaptation of Robin Hood, and I'm completely down with that.
Yeah, I mean, the animals, match the personality types. You've got Robin Hood and Maid Marian, they're a fox and a vixen, respectively. Sly, cunning, etc. You've got, Prince John, who's the cowardly lion, basically. Little John being the big dude, he's a bear. Kind of a Baloo-like figure, it makes sense.
Well, I mean, going back to Prince John for a minute, I think the reason that they made Prince John a lion is because of Richard the Lionheart being the king, and obviously Lionheart, lion, there we go,
makes
all
sense,
sorted.
Yeah.
The main reason that they did go with animals for Robin Hood here is because originally they wanted to make a film out of the character of Reynard the Fox, which is a character that has been in literature since the Middle Ages. I mean, the most famous instance is the Roman de Reynard, which is a Middle French literary cycle, and I mean it's in Dutch and English as well, and there's loads of fables to do with this fox who's a major trickster, and he's a right arsehole. But because the character is so technically unsavoury, Disney decided that it was kind of an unsuitable choice for a hero, so that project languished, and then eventually Ken Anderson decided to use that idea of an animated fox in Robin Hood, because it's a much better story to be given to kids.
Yeah, it's classic folklore and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be honest, this is not the most fast-paced of, the Disney collection, but it's got a very, cozy and charming atmosphere to it, so you won't get, action every 5 seconds, but, I don't know, I just feel it's a very comfortable movie to watch upon a rainy afternoon.
Oh, definitely, and it's got a really good cast, apart from the fact that they decided to have, a horrendous pronunciation of Nottingham. Because they're just like Nottingham. No,
right.
Stop.
So it's American. No. It's Americans playing limes, essentially.
Yeah, and also the whole Robin Hood. It's Robin Hood. Get it right. But outside of that, yeah, it's just really cozy. It's got great cast, actually pretty decent songs, and it's just fun and charming.
Fun fact, Helldragon and I actually tried to record this once upon a time, and we got about 15 minutes in before saying, yeah, we ain't really doing so good with this.
You see, this is why you needed fellow Nottingham person here. Also, guy who's a complete and utter nut about medieval literature.
Oh, yeah. This is definitely the song that comes to mind when I think of Robin Hood.
Oh, definitely. Also, fun fact, that whole sequence there with the bridge, that's actually, I think, in most instances of the Robin Hood story, where Robin Hood and Little John meet. They meet at a bridge, and they fight, and then because Robin wins, Little John then joins his merry band.
Yeah, like, I think most recently, if you follow Doctor Who, there was an example of it in Robot of Sherwood.
Indeed there was, yes.
This is my spoon!
That was such a goofy episode, but it was kind of enjoyable, so I was totally down with it.
I gave it the benefit of the doubt, but it was a little bit too banter-ish for me. It felt like they were trying a wee bit too hard.
They probably were, but oh well.
I loved the voice cast in this, even if they aren't, like, super-duper British. Let's see, who plays who?
Robin Hood is voiced by Brian Bedford, who actually was a rather eminent Shakespearean actor.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he died 13th of January this year.
Oh.
But, yeah, he does an amazing job as Robin Hood. And, he's done so much Shakespeare.
Shout-outs to him, then, I guess.
And he's mostly been a stage actor, but he has done a few films, Robin Hood being kind of probably the big one that most people would recognise, but he was also Mr. Fezziwig in 2004's Christmas Carol, and a few other things. He also played Lady Bracknell in the film, the filmed version of the Broadway show of The Importance of Being Earnest.
And as for Little John, his voice actor is one you may be able to remember if you're into classic Disney. He played Baloo in The Jungle Book. He played Thomas O'Malley in The Aristocats. His last role was in the Don Bluth film Rockadoodle.
Yes, good old Phil Harris.
The instrumental stuff's pretty good in the movie as well.
As I said, it's got a very... Well, the songs are good, but also, general soundtrack is very good. And even though I probably wouldn't be able to hum you most of the score outside of watching the film, coming back to it, I'm just yes, I remember this. This is wonderful.
They're actually being a bit cheeky with, reusing character models and such here, but it kind of works. It gives the impression that Prince John's army is, huge.
Well... The thing with reusing a lot of stuff, that's one of the major things that Robin Hood gets criticised for. The thing is that it didn't have the biggest budget ever.
No.
So they reuse a lot of animations, models, a lot of cells were reused. I'll certainly try and point out ones where that is quite definitely the case, but you can see things from Snow White, the Aristocats, you can see stuff from Jungle Book. There's so much here. And while it can come across as rather cheap, if you just think of it as, well, this is just a little knowing nod to previous Disney films, you can generally let it slide. It's not really the case, it's just them having to deal with a budget.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you've been a bit too optimistic and forgiving in saying, Disney's just been, the couple of cads, they're being fine.
Yeah, it is entirely because of the budget. But then, considering they did have such a small budget, they come up with a pretty wonderful little film.
Yeah, we're very biased when it comes to this film, as you'll no doubt see by the time we finish up.
Well, of course, how can we not be biased? Nottingham represent.
That's so obviously Car from The Jungle Book.
Yes, it's very, very obviously Car.
Not sure if it's the same voice actor, though.
Give me 5 seconds.
I'm on Wikipedia first. Let's see. Terry Thomas was the voice of Sir Hiss, but I'm scrolling down and trying to find his VO work.
It's on a different page.
Son of a bitch.
He did not voice Car in Jungle Book.
Okay, good stuff.
It's not coming up on the thing anyway.
And now we have fucking Scarlett Johansson playing Car in the new Jungle Book.
Yeah, not sure how I feel about that.
Apparently the movie turned out to be pretty good.
Well, yeah, it's been getting rave reviews, and I'm kind of just okay, sure, but I'm intrigued more than anything, I think.
I love Prince John so much. He's one of the most effeminate, borderline sort of sissy villains in, Disney history. I'm not saying that in kind of a homophobic way. I mean, he's just really, weak and limp-wristed. And it kind of works because, unlike his brother, he's all about letting other people do the dirty work.
I mean, I think probably a more accurate description of him would be a snivelling, whining crybaby.
Yeah, that works.
Than effeminate. Effeminate's not, I would say, quite an accurate description. Although effeminate would explain the clothing that Robin and Little John are wearing right now.
Yeah, this was like back in the day before, drag stuff became a little bit...
But I think, no, I don't think this comes up at any point in Robin Hood literature. There is something to do with the stork that is based on a Robin Hood story, but disguise is generally Robin Hood's game. Also, just obviously this is a kids' film, and there's a quite big boobs. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, they're there, Richie. You don't need to draw attention to them.
I know, but it's so difficult.
What's your zodiac sign, mate?
Which zodiac are we talking?
The Western one. You live in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, Capricorn.
Good. Okay, now Chinese.
I'm pretty sure I am Rooster.
Nice.
For many years I thought I was under the year of the dog, but because January falls in the year before, it's Rooster.
Well, I am a motherfucking dragon, so I beat you. I think this film helped contribute to my love of shiny things.
It probably did, yes. There's a lot of shiny gems, and they are all wonderful.
So just while, Robin and Little John here make off with all the jewels and the fancy stuff, tell me about your love of classic Disney. Besides this, what other films from this era were you particularly fond of?
Oh, so I am very much more of a fan of Renaissance Disney more than anything, because that is what I grew up with.
Fair enough, yeah.
I look back at some of the older ones, and I'm I'm less keen than I am of most of the others.
Mm.
I mean, so I'm looking back and I'm just thinking, what are the ones that I really quite like from that era? And there's very few, because I mean, obviously you've got classics like Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty and Snow White.
Yeah.
But then when I remember watching Sleeping Beauty not long before Maleficent came out, and just being a bit like, it's a bit too slow. It just didn't do it for me. Then watching Maleficent made me appreciate the Sleeping Beauty a hell of a lot more, because Maleficent was an awful treatment of that original story.
Yeah. Well, I'm on a site called DisneyAvenue.com now, which lists the 7 eras of Disney filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if this is up to date, but 1937 to 1942 was the Golden Age.
Yes.
Where you had Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which is the first, I think, full-length animated movie in general.
Yes, it is.
Pinocchio, really like that. Fantasia, Dumbo, Bambi.
Yeah.
Not a fan?
Not particularly. I think it's more, once you start getting into the 70s, there's probably more films that I start to go, I do actually quite like that one.
1943 to 1949, the wartime era. Saludos Amigos. Stop me if you hear any of these, which you kind of like. Saludos Amigos, The Three Caballeros. Make Mine Music, Fun and Fancy Free, Melody Time, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
Not seen any of those, although they have released it recently on DVD and Blu-ray, so that's probably a good time to go out and try and find them.
I think this bit right here will be where most people will start to prick up their ears and say, oh yeah, I like stuff from this era. 1950 to 1959, The Silver Age. Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, Sleeping Beauty, 101 Dalmatians, The Sword and the Stone, The Jungle Book.
Yep.
The Bronze Age, which was 1960 to 1988. Yeah, I was born, by the way, 88. The Bronze Age, The Aristocats, Robin Hood, which we're watching.
Quite fond of Aristocats and obviously Robin Hood.
The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, wonderful movie. The Rescuers, sequel was better. The Fox and the Hound.
Quite like that one, although it's rather depressing, to be fair.
Yeah, The Black Cauldron, The Great
Now,
Mouse.
I've got an interesting relationship with The Black Cauldron. I quite like it, but I know that it is rather really, really odd in terms of Disney.
Yeah, The Great Mouse Detective, fantastic movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Oliver and Company.
I'm also quite partial to Oliver and Company, although that's mostly just for the songs than anything else.
Then we have probably the most famous era of Disney.
Yes.
The Disney Renaissance, 1989 to 1999. The Little Mermaid.
Yep.
Rescuers Down Under.
Yep.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yes.
Aladdin.
Yes.
The Lion King.
Yes.
Pocahontas.
Yes.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yes.
Hercules. Fucking yes. Mulan and
yes.
Tarzan. I would say
Yes.
the one weak link there is Pocahontas, and even that I can sit down and have an enjoyable time with.
Oh, definitely.
And I think the final one here, the second to last one, rather, the post-Renaissance era, 2000 to 2009, Fantasia 2000, A Dinosaur, never watched, Emperor's New Groove, yes.
Yes.
Atlantis, The Lost Empire, yep.
It's good, yes.
Lilo and Stitch,
Oh,
I'm
yes.
I'm sure Mexi would agree. Treasure Planet,
Actually, yes, definitely. Love that one.
Brother Bear,
I've got a soft spot for that one. It's not the best film in the world, but it's fun.
Home on the Range, fucking no! Chicken Little, also fucking no!
That one's got a bit of a quirky charm to it,
Ugh.
but it's not great.
Meet the Robinsons?
That one's actually surprisingly touching.
Yeah, the ending, oh god, that made me cry, Jesus
Me
Christ.
too.
Bolt?
Yeah.
I kind of like that. It was surprisingly decent. And the last one we have here, the Revival era, 2010 to present. Princess and the Frog,
Yeah.
Tangled,
Oh, yes.
oh yeah, Winnie the Pooh,
Never seen that one, actually.
Wreck-It Ralph,
Yes.
yeah, Frozen,
Yes.
and Big Hero 6.
Yes.
So I would say the best two eras are the Renaissance era and the Revival era. Like,
Oh.
Disney Animation Studios are doing really, really well nowadays. Like, more so than Pixar, who sadly, besides Inside Out, at least for me, are kind of slumping a bit.
Yeah, I mean, also the one film that you've forgotten to mention in that list of revival Disney films is Zootopia, which came out very recently.
Yeah.
Which is apparently excellent. I still need to go and try and see it because I really do want to, but haven't managed just yet. At least when this commentary is being recorded.
Yeah. I don't think this list has been updated since then.
Probably not. But then, there's so much coming for Disney, which looks amazing because you've got Moana, which should be very, very, very interesting because it's having music, I think, done, or somebody's, Lin-Manuel Miranda is doing something for the music of that film, and he's the guy behind the show that is taking Broadway by storm, Hamilton. You've also got Gigantic, which is a Jack and the Beanstalk musical.
Yeah, the latest in their one-word type of films.
Yeah, which I'm actually quite excited for. It's got the music, the people who made the music for Frozen doing the music for that one, which should be quite fun. And then you've got other things. I mean, you've got Wreck-It Ralph 2,
Yes!
Frozen 2, you've got all sorts of other things.
I love the comparison between those two reactions. So yeah, we love Disney era HellfireComms, and that's how you pronounce it in Nottingham. You pronounce it HellfireComms.
Yes, because you drop your H's, you drop your T's, and then you just add duck
Yeah.
quite a lot, and then you're pretty much sorted in terms of your Nottingham speak.
I think I can say, or count rather, the number of times I've said duck on one hand.
Yeah, it's only very specific places in Nottingham that use that term of endearment, although duck is pretty much Nottingham or other places in the Midlands.
Nope, that's mine.
The Sheriff of Nottingham's such an asshole in this film, and
Such
it's
an
so
asshole.
wonderful.
Who played him in the live-action Robin Hood? And I know that's being a bit vague, because there's quite a few.
Very vague, because there are so many adaptations of Robin Hood. I mean, are you talking Robin Hood Men in Tights, Robin Hood Prince of Thieves, the one with Russell Crowe in it?
The one with Alan Rickman.
I think that was Men in Tights. I think Alan Rickman was Sheriff of Nottingham.
Yes.
So I think that one was Men in Tights, I'm not sure. There's so many Robin Hood films and stuff that you're kind of just like, oh, I don't even know, but generally they're always quite fun.
R.I.P. Alan Rickman, by the way. God, this year's sucked for, like, losing British personalities.
Exactly. It's the death of the year. Well, it's the year of the death of the national treasures.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. At least we know that we will never lose Robin Hood because he's now ingrained in myth and legend.
Do you think he was real to begin with?
Probably not. I mean, probably very definitely not. There's no real historical proof that he ever existed. He's probably more of a literary figure that was created. I mean, there are loads of early ballads and tales of Robin Hood. The first clear reference of which, this is me showing off my geekiness, comes in the late 14th century poem Piers Plowman, which nobody would really recognise. Anybody who has watched my Sonic and the Black Knight playthrough will have heard me talk briefly about it. It's basically a dream poem of a guy who finds the personifications of do well, do better, do best, and then it starts going all Christian on you, and is all about Piers the Plowman and him being the same as Christ and Christ as the warrior, and then there's all these sorts of allegories, and it gets really messy. It's not the best thing I've ever read.
My brain.
That was the first clear reference to the rhymes of Robin Hood that we have. The earliest surviving copies of narrative ballads that we have of the story date from around the 15th century or the start of the 16th century. So what we've got of Robin Hood's stories are later than the first reference that we have of him. And certain things develop. So in the initial tales that we've got like Sheriff of Nottingham, Little John, Much the Miller's Son, and a character called Will Scarlet, but Maid Marian and Friar Tuck aren't there yet. But then, apparently Friar Tuck was in earlier stories that we don't have because of a Robin Hood play script. So there's a lot of difficult stuff. I think the earliest compilation that we have is A Guest of Robin Hood, but that has a couple of weird things, but that's, I think, the main root of most of the stories that we have today.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll come back to trivia in a little bit. That was kind of like a text dump, but I appreciate every word that came out of your mouth. Did you write that down yourself, or did you take it from other literary sources?
So, I mean, that's coming mostly from Wikipedia.
Okay.
Because when it comes to this sort of stuff, it's a very good source.
Well, at least you're honest. Why aren't we watching Robin Hood right now? Why is it The Adventures of Robin Hood Jr.?
Because they needed to, give something for the kids to root for.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing that is necessary in kids' films. You need a child character to associate with.
This sort of thing flew over my head as a kid, because obviously it was appealing to me, but now that I'm a man, it kind of sort of sticks out like a sore thumb, and yeah, I just much rather be watching like Robin Hood, or Maid Marian, or Little John, or just any of the freedom fighters,
Yeah, I mean, I'm just quite happy now because we have Maid Marian and Lady Cluck playing badminton, and it's just hilarious. Lady Cluck's actually one of my favourite characters in this film.
Yeah, she's great, Just brings a lot of energy to every scene she's in.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous.
What is this lewdness in my Disney movie?
I know, it's just like, oh my god. You look back at some of this stuff and you're just like, how did this just fly over my head? How did I not realise that this was there? Or was it just I was too young that I just didn't really care?
I mean, this kid's like a kind of adorable character, I suppose, and Maid Marian's like very patient with him. Is it Robin Hood? I'll take Robin Hood for 500. Who voices Maid Marian?
Maid Marian is voiced by Monica Evans.
Is she in anything else I would know?
So she voices one of the gooses in The Aristocats.
Yep.
Abigail Gabb. And I'm going to have to go a few different routes because I've lost my Wikipedia entry for Robin Hood.
Ah, what you like.
Because, you see, this is what happens when you try and go through all sorts of different web pages. You end up with, like, the Disney Wikia and all sorts of things. You're just like, ah! It hasn't been in really that much. I think mostly probably theatre stuff again.
Okay. Yeah.
I think most of the main cast that they got for Robin Hood are British theatre actors. I mean, obviously you've got things like Phil Harris as Little John and Pat Buttram as the Sheriff of Nottingham, but the others who are actually British are mostly, I think, theatre actors. I mean, you've got Carol Shelley as Lady Cluck, who is actually the original Broadway Madame Morrible in Wicked.
Oh, nice.
Which is awesome. And yeah, she's mostly been theatre roles as well. Although she did voice Lachesis the Fate in Hercules.
Ah, Disney's Hercules.
Yes.
Amazing. I love that movie.
And also she voiced Amelia Gabb, one of the other gooses in the Aristocats.
Oh, there you go.
And she has been in a few other films, but nothing I would say that most people would recognise too much.
You know that love thing that Robin carved in the tree? I'm surprised that entire tree hasn't been hacked down yet.
Well, it's obviously because Prince John and whoever's keeping Maid Marian captive are blind.
Should I read too much into Maid Marian having a Scottish sort of servant?
I shouldn't have thought so. I should just go with, they're trying to be a little bit diverse.
Yeah, because isn't, like, one of the lines in, like, the proper, and I say proper with massive quotation marks version of our national anthem, like, rebellious Scots to crush?
I don't know, but potentially, I mean, if you think about most literature from that early period, there wasn't really that much love for the Scots.
Nor the Irish.
Nor the Irish. I mean, oh god, some of the stuff that people wrote about the Irish. I mean, I think it's, oh god, Philip Sidney? Somebody who was a rather eminent writer of some description, and he wrote about the Irish as if they were brutes and didn't know how to educate people, and it was just like, oh god, this is cringeworthy.
They would not get away with this stuff nowadays, an adult kissing a child like that.
No, they would not.
Isn't this the part where Maid Marian just kind of disappears for, like, most of the movie?
Probably, yes. I mean, if I recall correctly, she probably isn't going to show up again until the tournament. And then she's in it mostly consistently until the final act. Although I think she then does disappear again until the end.
Like, goddammit, Marion, like, stay consistent, please.
Also, I have to say, I don't know when they had the time for Robin Hood to, be standing there for them to get that picture, because it's rather precise. And it's posed and everything.
I love that line, an outlaw for an in-law.
Actually surprisingly clever, all things considered.
It's used again at the end of the movie by a particular character, but I swear it's been used outside this movie as well. Probably just a reference.
Also, here's something that's actually quite fun. The fact that you've got Monica Evans and Carol Shelley working together in this film, obviously also in The Aristocats, but I think they also did previous work together, because on the Wikipedia page, it's mentioned that she and Monica Evans, her co-star as her sister Cecily Pigeon, were the only two performers to be in all three of the Odd Couple versions of something or other. I think it was a Broadway play. So it's quite fun that they then continued working together in different mediums.
That's kind of sweet. What is it about food in, like, cartoons and stuff that makes me kind of want to, like, eat it? Like, it's just drawn so delectably. Maybe not this, but even this piqued my curiosity.
I don't know. It's obviously something to do with you.
Oh, is it that easy? Jesus, why don't I just go right up to her right now? I would say Robin Hood is probably one of my favourite Disney characters, but again, there's that Nottingham bias coming in.
Definitely, but then also it works. I mean, a lot of people are really fond of this representation of the character.
Some people more than others.
Well, no, but I mean, because the character's charming, funny,
Kind. I think that
rather
plays a part.
romantic. It all works quite well. I mean, I have certainly seen at least one article of people saying that Robin Hood was like their sexual awakening or something or other, which completely ruined, the whole innocence of the thing.
I was trying to avoid that, Richie. Jesus Christ.
Well, come on, it was going to happen eventually. You're dealing with anthropomorphic animals.
I guess. Alright, did you have a crush on Maid Marian, yes or no?
No.
Same.
Lovely character, but I don't really go in for the whole animal thing.
Fair dues, mate, fair dues. Like, speaking of, like, Disney protagonists, who would say is in your top 3? Like, just to keep it nice and straight to the point. Like, you're good with trivia, but ask yourself some, like, personal information. Oh, here comes the story.
It's because I've got to think. I mean, probably Stitch, obviously, because Stitch is, like, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But then Lilo as well, because you can't really have one without the other.
Well, you can include them as, like, one choice as a
Okay,
pair.
that's good. So Lilo and Stitch.
Okay.
Probably Ralph in Wreck-It Ralph.
Okay.
Because he's pretty excellent.
Yeah, John C. Reilly did a really good job with it.
Oh, definitely. I really don't know.
Why is this so hard? Do you not love Disney?
I love Disney, but there's so many characters that I love that I can't really choose between them. This is the problem. You ask me these questions and I'm just like, but I love all of them. Why can't we have both?
Alright, as for me, it's Hercules, Aladdin, and Quasimodo.
Those are all excellent choices.
Yeah, you're damn right.
I now wish that I had gone with Quasimodo, maybe.
Alright, maybe a slightly easier question. What are your 3 favourite Disney villains?
Ooh, this is also slightly difficult.
God damn it, Richie. God fucking damn it.
Ursula.
Yep, definitely a good choice.
Frollo.
Yep, from Hunchback, yep.
Do I want to go Far or Scar? Let's go for Scar, if only because Be Prepared is glorious.
Ah, yes. For me, it's got to be Hades, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ursula and Jafar. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very difficult one because when you've got like so many excellent villains, you're just kind of I kind of like all of them.
Since you chose Ursula, I'll trade out her for Frollo, because the wonderfulness of Tony J can never be denied.
Definitely not. Also, I did choose Frollo, I think.
Son of a bitch. Well, I don't care. I am altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it further. Star Wars references are Disney now, it's fine.
It's definitely fine. I mean, it's better than it's probably ever been before.
This is probably one of the best parts of the movie, the archery tournament.
Well, of course, because I mean, it's pretty much the entirety of what everyone thinks of when they think of Robin Hood is archery.
I don't like pain, sire. Why do you hate me so much? Take your beating like a good reptile. May I have another?
He will look like a fox.
In disguise.
Exactly.
Just look for the disguise that looks really, really fake. Well, here's that stork reference you were banging on
Here's the
about.
stork thing. I can't remember where I spotted it. I think it was in the thing about a guest of Robin Hood. And if I move down a little bit...
Are we having some trivia bombs about to be dropped?
Okay, it's not quite as good a thing as I was thinking. I think I just saw the stalker and thought, ooh! But basically it's just the archery contest.
Okay.
And the sheriff eventually seeing through Robin's disguise and then a fight scene. Because that is pretty much a stalwart of Robin Hood narrative. So, the Adventures of Robin Hood, you have it here in the pilot episode of a thing called Robin of Sherwood. There was an archery competition. In the 2006 Robin Hood TV series, which was in England, they had an archery contest, although apparently in that one Robin decides not to enter the archery contest because he recognises it as a trap, but then he's persuaded by Maid Marian to enter it.
Man, that was a boring series.
I never really got into it. I mean, I think I was at a weird age where I don't think I was too interested in most of that sort of stuff. But then Merlin came out, and that was kind of one of my big Saturday night evening things that I really quite loved.
Well, wasn't like Doctor Who off the air at that point? Like just between seasons, I mean.
Yes. Yeah, so Robin Hood, Merlin, Doctor Who, they all kind of filled the same hole.
Yeah.
In BBC's time slots, really. They haven't really managed to find one to successfully take over yet. I mean, I know they've tried, because they had, like, Atlantis, but apparently that wasn't, or isn't particularly great.
Do you think season 10 of Doctor Who is going to be the last one?
Well, I doubt it, considering, season 10's the next one, yeah?
Yes, it is.
Well, considering they've already got the next showrunner...
Yeah, sorry,
no.
I phrased that wrongly. Do you think, like, he's only going to get, like, 1 or 2 seasons and then it will go on the great big hiatus again?
We will have to see how season 11 does.
Yeah, because what I've heard, the new guy, do we have his name?
Chris something or other, I think.
Well, yeah, just double check. Because Stephen Moffat, who's leaving after season 10, Peter Capaldi said he might go with him, and it's disappointing and kind of like deflating, because Peter Capaldi is such a great actor, fucking kills it in the role of the Doctor. I mean, like, in Heaven Sent, like, season 9 I think was a very mixed bag. But he's not been given good enough scripts, I don't think.
Definitely. I mean, so the new showrunner is Chris Chibnall.
What episodes of Doctor Who has he written?
Very mixed ones.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
really.
Why people, yeah.
But I think the deciding factor will be how he is as a showrunner, because that has been Stephen Moffat's kind of Achilles heel. He can write an excellent episode, but he was a shoddy showrunner.
Whereas Chibnall is, like, touted to be a good showrunner, not so good of a writer.
I mean, he's done some interesting episodes, because, I mean, they did the Silurian two-parter Hungry Earth, Cold Blood, which was...
that was boring as shite!
Yeah, he did the dinosaurs on a spaceship.
I didn't even finish watching that one.
Yeah, he did the Power of Three. I think he also did the female Cyberman Torchwood episode. So a bunch of rather episodes. But then the thing is that if he can do what Russell T Davies did in terms of creating an excellent story over the series and kind of edit more than trying to just let people do their own things, then we may end up with a much more consistent series than what we have ended up with under Moffat, who really can't showrun to save his life.
And I will say, it'll be just, like, novel to have a new showrunner. Like, the show will have a different look. Like, the Russell T Davies series looks different to Moffat's, which will look different to, like, Chibnall's and whatnot.
Yeah. Also, I like how we're just talking about Doctor Who when we've got a wonderful archery competition going on here.
Well, archery speaks for itself, but also we can tie it back into Doctor Who, because the golden arrow was used very oddly in that particular episode.
Yeah.
Kind of defying all the laws of physics, basically saying fuck you to physics. I won't spoil how the episode ends, but it really shouldn't have ended like that. Also, if you're a fan of JoJo Part 4, or JoJo in general, a golden arrow may be of importance to you. Read the fucking manga!
No!
Oh, Robin Hood! Oh, never, Governor, never. Oh, he's such a cocky asshole. I wish I hadn't cast my votes for the three top Disney heroes, though. I would say Robin's like 4, like just missing the top 3.
Yeah, Robin Hood is very, very, very high up on excellent Disney heroes.
I used to do that kind of clap from time to time. I think this is where I learned it from.
What the posh tapping the top of your hand.
Oh, very good, very good.
Bravo.
Yeah, bravo.
Talk about invading personal space.
I like the echo effects as he's inside a balloon.
It's great. Also, I'm very confused as to how this is physically possible. I mean, you know, it's a snake and he's flying.
Richie.
I mean, I know a universe with talking animals enacting the story of Robin Hood, but
yeah, thank you for saying it so I didn't have to. Also, alcohol reference.
I know this is a very adult Disney film, considering.
Oh, they're not drinking it. It's fine.
Well, true, but it's still there. Like nowadays, they try and avoid anything to suggest alcohol.
I'm gonna put my money on that guy. He seems legit.
Yeah, I mean, totally doesn't look like a fox in disguise.
Yeah, totally. He just seems so cool.
Very unsubtle. Very, very, very unsubtle. Also, he's being very unsubtle about his maniacal plan.
I'm so evil! Just like everything about this scene is top-notch, like the costume design, the character design, you know, the pacing, the music.
Yes, definitely.
I just throw out random cinematography, like, words whenever I need to compliment something. Have you ever tried archery?
I have a few times. I am pretty much awful at it because, like, my aim is abysmal. Like, I have very little hand-eye coordination apart from when I'm playing video games.
This is sick. The height trick. Oh, what a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Move it back more. Put it in Derby.
Well, you'd probably be better off putting it in Sheffield because it's closer. That's something probably we could talk about. Actual Sherwood Forest. Because, I mean, I can't remember the last time I went. A very long time ago.
Yeah.
But it's always odd because Sherwood Forest, although in Nottinghamshire, is quite far north of Nottingham.
Weirdly, yeah.
Like, considering how deeply Nottingham is involved in the story of Robin Hood because of the Sheriff of Nottingham, most of it takes place in Sherwood. Which is up past Mansfield. Or near Mansfield, which is quite far north of us. And you start getting near to Lincoln and...
Oh, too far. You have gone too far. And disguise rips now.
Yeah. Terrible idea.
Not your most dignified of entrances, Rob, I'm gonna be honest.
Definitely not.
Damn, man. They didn't, held back on him.
Well, no, I mean, they did hold back on him because they didn't stab him, considering they had all of their spears and halberds, but still.
Oh, is that the proper name for that sort of battle axe?
Probably. I know it's certainly a name for giant spear-like battle axes.
I remember wanting to get, a toy sort of axe after I watched this movie, because it just seemed like a cool type of weapon.
I mean, it is a cool type of weapon.
I would say just... Apart from, inflaming my sense of Nottingham pride, this movie also, helped my love of, medieval stuff.
Definitely.
Because if you notice when Helldragon and I do stuff, he tends to favour sci-fi, whereas I tend to go for the more, Dungeons and Dragons sort of thing.
Yeah, and I'm kind of the weird one who is quite fond of both, to be fair, but I probably do have more of a connection to medieval stuff now, having studied quite a lot of it at university and being particularly fond of it.
Your brother's better! Your brother's better! What, we're watching the Queen of Hearts here?
Well, I think what we're seeing here is a mixture of the Queen of Hearts and Kylo Ren.
Oh yeah. The second he took off his helmet, Jesus. Although I have to say, I think it worked. I think it actually worked in his favour.
Exactly. I mean, that Prince John is kind of a prototype to what they did with Kylo Ren of having a character who desperately wants to be an ideal, but simply is incapable of being that. And it's a very interesting thing to watch happen. Obviously, it's played very much for laughs here, but it is something that you can walk very tightly on a certain line to get interesting results.
I've recently watched episode 7 for the first time, and apart from like some niggles here and there, and like, you know, there are instances of like Rey being, you know, quote unquote a Mary Sue. I had a really good time with it, and I'm really looking forward to episode 8.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think the biggest problems that episode 7 has are that it takes a little bit too much inspiration from A New Hope. That said, it will hopefully be a palate cleanser for what they then go on to do in episode 8 and 9, because they had a lot of work to do in restoring faith in the Star Wars brand and in the films, and replicating quite a lot of what made the original Star Wars work then should allow them to go to new and interesting places. Also, I love this sequence.
Oh yeah, this is a great fight scene.
Because it's quite actiony, it's quite climactic and engaging, but then it's going to go completely ridiculous and completely bonkers, and it's so wonderful.
It works for kids and adults, because you got the pure action, then you got a little bit of comedy thrown in there as well.
Exactly. And this particular sequence is why I love Lady Cluck so much.
Yeah, eat it! Oh, is that the time, Robin?
Oh, come on, this is clearly the best time for this. I mean, like, Will Turner proposed to Elizabeth Swann on a sinking ship or in the middle of a battle, so it's perfectly fine. This is par for the course.
It was very subtle of them landing in the throne, by the way. Nice foreshadowing. That's just a Scooby-Doo moment, right? Isn't it?
Oh, hell yes. And it's wonderful.
Man, lots of people getting poked in the arse in this movie.
Well, why the hell not? You're dealing with arrows. That's what they're supposed to do.
Oh, that's a Scooby-Doo moment. It's got an element of the Carry On films in it as well, which is kind of odd, since I don't know when the Carry On films started, but a lot of them came after this.
Well, if you give me a few seconds...
Might as well bring in the Carry On films, since, you know, we're talking about British stuff.
They were before this, so they started in the late 1950s and ran until 1992.
Really? What was the first Carry On film?
Give me 1 second. So it was What a Carry On. Oh no, wait a minute, no, that was an unmade one, because they are annoying and don't... Goddamn Wikipedia not showing things exactly as they need to be. So it was Carry On Sergeant was the first one.
That's really interesting, because I just can't imagine them being made that early in time.
I know.
Well, I suppose the Carry On aspects maybe did carry over. Oh, now everyone is wanted for treason. Good stuff.
Oh, this bit. It just comes out of nowhere and it's wonderful.
It's so ridiculous, I love it. She's going for a try! Touchdown! You know what this puts me in mind of slightly? That football scene in Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Yeah. I think either Bedknobs and Broomsticks inspired a bit of this, or this inspired a bit of Bedknobs and Broomsticks, because the cloak that Prince John wears appears in Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Okay. And now you know the rest of the story. Let's all drink ale and get pissed. Or should I say, hissed?
I don't know whether this is the second time a character has gotten drunk in a Disney film, the first being Dumbo. Oh, actually no, it'd be the third because of all the kids in Pinocchio.
Yeah, good point, actually.
I may be wrong in that numbering, but that sounds about right. And there've probably been hardly any since apart from perhaps Basil the Great Mouse Detective,
Hmm.
in which a character gets hammered.
Yeah, yeah. It's so weird to hear you come out with slang and whatnot, because you're so proper most of the time.
It's the Nottingham in me.
Yeah. Stay tuned for Pinocchio, by the way, because that's coming up in a couple of days' time.
That should be interesting.
You want to do that with me?
Yeah, not too much of a fan of Pinocchio.
We'll see, we'll see. At the point we're recording this, we're only like 10 or 11 movies deep.
Yeah, and I'm just like on my first one.
Yep. Oh, don't worry, there's plenty more for you to do.
Oh, I know.
This is a nice little scene.
Oh, it's wonderful. I mean, the song, which is Love, was actually nominated for something or other.
Ah.
I can't remember what it was nominated for.
A song award, brilliant.
Oh, it was nominated for the Academy Award for the Best Original Song in 1974, but it lost to The Way We Were from the film of the same name. But funnily enough, it didn't win any awards, unfortunately, but the song was used on the soundtrack of the 2009 film Fantastic Mr. Fox by Wes Anderson.
Perfect, that is brilliant.
That is just excellent decision-making.
I've heard good things about that, but I've never got around to watching it.
I think I've seen bits of it, and the animation style, not too sure, to be fair.
Well, like, stop motion mixed with CGI.
Yeah, it looks a bit odd to me, but apparently it is an excellent film.
Well, fuck it, movie night, let's go. Oh, now we're getting into, like, the secret base territory, and this sort of thing always appealed to me.
Well, I mean, this is doing the main bit of Robin Hood, his merry men in Sherwood Forest,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole thing with the mighty oak and stuff like that.
The major oak, I think you'll find.
I can never get that one right.
It was a word beginning with M, so you were half right. We're all treasonous people now, yay! Praise Robin Hood! And now for an up-tempo number.
Yes, and this is just hilarious.
Oh yeah, I know what you're referencing.
Totally not the Aristocats. Totally not Snow White.
I know you're bursting at the seams, go on.
With what? With all the reused animation.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's Jungle Book.
Yep, right there.
That entire sequence is Jungle Book. This is probably the worst bit for reused animation, but it's more reused cells, and considering how much effort went into designing those cells to get them to flow naturally and to look realistic, you might as well make use of them.
Was any of this mocapped?
No. So, a lot of earlier Disney films were pretty much filmed in their entirety, or certain bits were filmed with real people and then the animators drew over the cells, and that's how they did the animation.
Sorry, I should say rotoscope. Mocap is like a more of a modern kind of thing.
But like around this period of Disney, they never really did it because it was quite expensive and they couldn't really necessarily afford to put that much money into it. Also, more Jungle Book. And then they got to The Little Mermaid, and they realised that doing that classic technique of rotoscoping was actually quite helpful. So quite a bit of certain elements of The Little Mermaid were rotoscoped. I don't know whether it followed too much after that, because computer-generated techniques became quite a bit easier.
Oh god, now that I know, like watching this now that I know that a lot of this is just reused animation, I can easily see the characters from the other movies.
Yeah, but...
Like, the cat character playing the drums is that stereotype from the Aristocats.
Yep. It's got a bit of a cheap and cheerful charm about it.
I suppose. This is like one of the slower parts of the movie for me. I don't really tend to favour this over other scenes.
I mean, I suppose it's the point where they've not really got a whole lot to do. It's the point where you realise that there's not really a huge amount of plot going on. It's just sort of to do with characters having a bit of fun.
Yeah.
A bit more plot's going to start to come into play from this point onwards, but that's just going to get us to the end of the film, really.
Man, they're getting their money's worth out of the Sheriff of Nottingham doing that walking animation.
Yep.
Oof. Can't carry a tune to save his life. I love how the guy with no hands is the state accountant.
Well, of course. It's only right.
Well, if you want to trust someone with not being able to take money away, I guess a guy with no hands would be perfect.
Now, I don't know whether we've mentioned it yet, but the Sheriff of Nottingham is voiced by Pat Buttram, who was Napoleon in the Aristocats, the Swamp Mouse in The Rescuers. He was Chief in The Fox and the Hound, which is the one where I recognise the voice from the most.
Yeah, definitely.
He's also Bullet One in Who Framed Roger Rabbit,
Okay.
and the Possum Park MC in A Goofy Movie.
Oh my god, yes!
Although, I'm now looking at, so he died a day after I was born,
Oh.
which is kind of depressing.
Yeah. This is true to form right here, all this fucking rain.
Yep, that's Britain in a nutshell.
And I think this part of the movie sticks out for me the most, because there's a great, bunch of action scenes coming up, and just the whole mood and tone radically changes from the more upbeat parts of the movie.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think it allows you to have the differences in emotion, because you go from the very upbeat and cheerful phony King of England into the more villainous reprise of, comic villainous reprise, and then it gets quite serious because Little John realises what's going on. Not Little John, Prince John. Too many Johns in this film. And then it gets quite depressing.
Yeah, I like this, slow reprise of Nottingham.
Oh, definitely. But yeah, so Alan Adale, which is the name of the rooster,
Yeah, I love this guy.
is voiced by Roger Miller.
Wasn't he a famous American singer?
Yes, so he was a famous American country singer, really.
Bold choice for a British folklore movie.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of southern or southwestern American elements. I mean, the voice that Pat Buttram had to use for the Sheriff of Nottingham, and then there's a lot of that going on, which is odd, but somehow it does sort of fit.
Yeah, it's I grew up watching, fuck tons of American animation, so, the juxtaposition of, Americanish voices during British stuff is, it's whatever. But yeah, you're right, it works. It fits the tone of the movie. It doesn't ever take me out of it.
And also I think it's quite good that you have the different accents for the different types of characters. So the heroes, bar Little John, are all mostly quite received pronunciation British. So the Shakespearean / more stage actor voice.
Isn't the term estuary?
Maybe?
You're the literature major, you should know these things.
I don't know anymore.
Well, that's a goof on my part, because that's English language, not English literature.
You see, this is the point. Then you've got basically the Baloo voice for Little John. So he's, even though it really should be the same British accent, because he's the wise-cracking friend type, it fits to have slightly different voice, because he's then more comic relief. And then you have the southwestern style dialogue for, the Sheriff of Nottingham, which is out of place, but they play it for comic effects.
Uh-huh.
And then obviously you have Prince John, who's got a very weird, very different style of speaking to everybody else.
Oh, I've got a couple of bits of voice actor trivia for you.
Ooh!
Well, first of all, the male mouse in this scene, who is Friar Tuck's sexton, which is a it's like some sort of office or whatever. Let me look up exactly what a sexton is. A sexton is an officer of the church, congregation, or synagogue charged with the maintenance of its buildings and/or the surrounding graveyard. Okay, so the male mouse is voiced by John Fiedler, who you may know as the voice of Piglet in Disney's Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
He sadly died in 2005.
Pretty much most of this cast is probably dead by now, which is a really depressing thought, but then that's going to happen with every film.
Yeah. And the female church mouse is voiced by Barbara Luddy, who was the original voice of Kanga in the 1960s Winnie the Pooh film series.
Oh, yeah.
She was the original voice of Lady in Lady and the Tramp.
Mm-hmm.
And Merryweather in Sleeping Beauty.
You see, Disney liked reusing the same voice actors quite a bit.
I don't know, it lends a sort of charm. It's not me, like, giving them a pass, I swear. I forget, which one was Merryweather in terms of colour?
Blue.
Yes.
Flora was red, Fauna was green, and Merryweather was blue.
Well, I can sort this out lickety-split with the power of Google.
I hope I'm right.
No, I just want to know what colours. Give me the colours, okay? Flora's dress is predominantly red with her petticoat.
Yes.
Fauna's outfit is a dark green.
Yes.
And Merryweather is blue, so yeah, there you go.
Hell yes.
You can really hear Piglet in his voice.
You can. I mean, I suspect they probably told most of them, just do the voice that we've asked you to do most often. Save us some money.
This part of the movie is so atmospheric, and I really dig it.
Oh, definitely. And while talking about atmosphere, do you remember the Tales of Robin Hood from Nottingham City Centre?
Yes! Oh god, that scared me, that ride did.
Don't worry, it terrified me as well, because I went when I was like 7, I think, and I remember sobbing most of the way through because it terrified me.
Well, there was animatronics in there, so...
Yeah, but so for anybody unaware, it was a visitor attraction in Nottingham, at the top of Maid Marian Way, funnily enough.
Near the castle.
Yes, right near Nottingham Castle, where we've got the statue of Robin Hood.
Yep.
And you went through the sights, sounds and smells of the Robin Hood story, and it really good atmosphere, and it was really quite cool. Unfortunately, it shut down, well, it was forced to close in January 2009 after 20 years of business.
Bullshit.
Because
Absolute
it didn't have
bullshit.
enough, well, it wasn't getting enough visitors to be able to really afford its rent, which is just like, that's so depressing.
Like, has anything taken its place since?
I think some sort of shop,
Ugh.
because, I mean, the landlord is Tesco, apparently, so...
Oh, goody.
I don't think it's a Tesco's that's there at the minute. I think it was more some sort of schoolwear store.
Ugh.
But, yeah.
One of my most fond memories is, and this may colour your opinion of me, Richie, is when I played hooky for about a week during, like, my mid-teens. And, Tom's a delinquent. And one of the places me and my mate went into was, Tales of Robin Hood. And we just, like, snuck into the cinema and watched stuff, like, hung about in the rest area, looked at stuff in the gift shop, and no one ever called us out. It was amazing.
Tut, 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 Tommy.
I wanted to look at the Lord of the Rings replica items, okay?
Nah, I'm not judging you. I'm silently judging you, but it's fine.
What do you think about the castle, now that we're actually in Nottingham Castle?
It's... Well, I mean, for starters, it's not actually a castle. It's more of a big house.
More of a museum.
And it's been a while since I've been in it, but it's a nice attraction.
I would say it's definitely worth a visit, because it's on top of a hill, so you've got great views no matter what.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there are quite a few good places to visit in Nottingham if anybody just decides that they want to visit, because, I mean, you really should. Because you've got the castle, you've got the caves, which I haven't actually been in, I don't think, at all.
Dude, we should meet up and go see the caves.
We should. You've got, obviously, the Robin Hood statue. You've got the old Trip to Jerusalem, which is probably one of the oldest pubs in Britain. You've got the Galleries of Justice, which is quite cool.
The Ice Stadium?
Yeah, you've got the Ice Stadium, you've got the two wonderful theatres, you've got the Nottingham Playhouse and the Nottingham Theatre Royal and Royal Concert Hall.
Fuck yeah.
You have got another theatre as well, I think that's the Arts Theatre, but I've never been.
I swear we weren't paid by the Nottingham Tourism Board to promote the place.
And then you've got the National Video Game Arcade, which is amazing. And everybody should go and visit it, because it's wonderful.
Is that like an annual thing, or is it open all the time?
It's open pretty much all the time. It's more, I think, during like school term times, they do tend to close it off a bit more, because, I mean, they're mostly there for kids, and if kids aren't going during term time, well, but pretty much during holidays, they're open pretty much most days, really.
Yeah, dude, we should like plan like a day out in Nottingham and go see the sights.
Oh, definitely.
Like, I'm serious. Once I get back on my feet, once I'm like in better shape and stuff, like mentally and physically, we should totally like live it up.
Definitely.
I love these characters. I think, don't quote me on this, I think they're a callback to the ones in the Jungle Book.
They are, yes. Even if they're not a callback, they are certainly reusing bits of the models.
How can they not tell this guy's Robin Hood? His disguise is even more, like, obvious than the friggin' stalk.
Because they are thick as bricks.
Indeed. By the way, if you go to Nottingham Castle, buy a wooden sword. That is the hypest shit when you're a kid.
Definitely. Or, you know, one of the bows and arrows, because they're always quite fun.
I'm like the 10th Doctor in a way. I love a little shop, you know?
Little shops are always fun.
Especially when you're a child, because it's just like, oh, new stuff to get. Goodies.
The only time where it's not quite so cool is when you start to realise that generally all they have are pencils, rubbers, bookmarks, pencil sharpeners.
Kind of like the gift shop in Nottingham Castle, actually, near the front. Actually, I've just remembered a bit more about my hooky escapades. We did go in to the castle, but we got thrown out at one point.
Tut, tut, tut.
Very nearly got reported to my old school, but we gave a fake, like, schooly name, and they said, oh, they'd contact it, and then they let us go. So narrowly avoided that one, but I got caught in the end anyway, and got grounded, so...
Probably for the best, yeah. No, you shouldn't be playing hooky, kids.
Crime doesn't pay. Don't date robots.
I think the one main thing I can remember about Nottingham Castle is that, at least for a time, they had the outfits worn by Torval and Dean when they got the straight sixes at the Winter Olympics.
Ah, yes. Nottingham's of a bit of pride and joy.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, we're getting to the finale now. Shit's gonna pop off.
Oh, hell yes. It's gonna get ridiculous.
This is probably a bit late in the film to be asking this, but can you tell me a little bit about Robin of Locksley?
Right, so if my Firefox has decided not to crash, which it seems to have actually done, so I will now be making use of a phone. Robin of Locksley is pretty much one of the characters or names that people generally associate with Robin Hood. I mean, I don't know whether it's just an alias that the character had or what he was referred to as, but he is most commonly associated with Robin Hood. So I think it is just another name for him. We don't really have any other link to that name. So basically, it's a tradition dating back to at least the end of the 16th century, giving Robin Hood's birthplace as Locksley, Sheffield, in South Yorkshire.
Ah, okay.
That said, the original Robin Hood ballads, which originate from the 15th century, set events in the medieval forest of Barnesdale. So, not really near Sheffield at all.
Where's Barnesfield again?
Barnesdale, give me a few
You
seconds.
gotta be more on the ball with this stuff, mate.
So, it's South Yorkshire.
Ugh. So was Robin Hood like from Yorkshire originally then? Have I been saying the wrong thing all this time? Has the county of Nottingham been saying the wrong thing all this time?
Well, seeing as Robin Hood's most likely a fictional creation anyway,
That's not the point, I want to win!
he is more commonly associated with Nottinghamshire now than anything else. So even though there are probably more links to Yorkshire and other areas of the country, Sherwood Forest, Sheriff of Nottingham, that's basically the main bit of the Robin Hood story, so it really doesn't matter anymore.
Sort of awkward since I'm descended from Yorkshireans, but whatever. Thankfully, big guys tend to be deep sleepers, so once he's off, he's not waking up again for a while.
Now, here's a slightly funny story. Apparently, when they were coming up with like what characters would be what animals, I think there was the idea to make the Sheriff of Nottingham a goat, to try and have, like, go against stereotypes for the characters, or stereotypes for the animals.
What animal is the sheriff? Is he like a hyena?
He's a wolf.
Okay.
Because wolves, bad guys. Pretty standard. But I think, yeah, there was a desire for having a goat, but that went by the wayside, and they went with much more stereotypical creatures.
Damn, man, this is, like, really dire. There's a thing on the wall that says, forget them all.
No, it says, forgive them all.
Oh, really?
Because, Friar Tuck, being the God-loving man that he is, it's forgive them all. And I think, at some point, it's either later on or earlier on, near Prince John, there's something which says, forgive Prince John, or something. Which is, it's a very subtle representation of his character, but it shows the fact of him believing in the version of Christianity which preaches forgiveness and love.
Yeah, the good parts of it. Not the Crusades kind of thing.
Yes, which is kind of hilarious considering the period in which this film is set is during the Crusades, because Richard the Lionheart was a king who pretty much decided, yes, let's go on the Crusades, this is an excellent idea.
Good stuff.
So, yeah, I remember hearing quite a lot of tales about Richard I. I can't remember how much truth there was in them, but I'm really not spending that much time in England, and so on and so forth, not really being that much of a present king, because most of the time he was spent on crusades.
Yeah, why would you want to, if you had the chance to go out on crusades to other countries?
True, yeah. So, in that respect, Richard III, for all of his potential problems, was apparently actually a better king. But obviously Tudors and all that kind of put a shot in him being seen as anything other than an even villain.
Oh, this is such a great series of events. It's like one big stealth scene.
I would like to think that this was an inspiration behind Sly Cooper. It probably wasn't, but I can dream. What I can say with actual truth, however, is that Robin Hood inspired Zootopia.
Really?
Because I think one of the directors said that partially what they thought would be a fun idea would be to do a modern version of Robin Hood with CG characters, and obviously that bloomed into Zootopia. Which is actually quite fitting, considering, from what I can gather, it's like a crime narrative of like cops and robbers and...
Well, much more than that from what I'm hearing.
Well, also quite deep and profound, but that's the extent of what I've gathered without spoiling the plot for myself. Because I don't want to spoil it, because it sounds pretty wonderful.
Oh, this is so good, there's barely any dialogue in these scenes.
So well put together.
Sometimes you just gotta gush, you know?
Yeah, I think even though Robin Hood gets quite a lot of flack from more modern audiences, like, it did very well when it came out. It had a lot on its shoulders, because it was the first Disney film to be produced after the death of Disney. So it was like the first film where he had no involvement in it whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that's quite a lot of stuff resting on the success of this film. But it did very well when it was released at the box office, and it got even more money when it was re-released in like 1982.
Mm-hmm.
And it did actually get quite good reviews. It's only been in the rest of time that it's then dropped down the list of the quality of Disney films, and that's only because it fits into this particular era where they've got less budget, so there's a lack of grandiosity to make up a bit of a word.
I would be interested to see, like, you guys listening / watching, like, the film right now, like, what your top 10 Disney films are, and, like, where, if at any place, Robin Hood kind of ranks.
Definitely, because, I mean, it's, obviously, as we have said many times, it's a fun, enjoyable film, and, I mean, it is watchable by people of all ages, which is great. And I think it's got a lot more fun in it than actually quite a lot of the, like, original Disney films. Like, I mean, I'd never really find myself thinking, yes, I want to go back and watch Sleeping Beauty or Cinderella or Snow White. I'm kind of just like, do I? Whereas I think Robin Hood, I'm more like, actually, I've got quite a fondness for this one.
Are you not a fan of the princess type of movies?
Well, now you see, I do quite like the princessy type movies, because, I mean, Little Mermaid, Pocahontas, Beauty and the Beast, Mulan, Tangled, Frozen, Princess and the Frog, even though that one I think I'd need to watch again a few times to truly appreciate, because it was a bit slow from what I remember.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm quite a fond of most of the Disney films. It's just that earlier era, just a bit slow.
Too dry for you.
Little bit, yeah.
Oh, I love this jazzy soundtrack.
Like, I'm listening to this and I'm thinking this is very 70s cop drama style music, which I think is quite fitting and obviously links quite nicely to that whole Zootopia tangent that I went on for a little bit.
Oh, don't drop the portcullis, whatever you do. Thanks for shouting out where you're going.
How did you forget the baby?
Leave her behind.
You can't leave the baby behind.
It's only one baby, it'll be fine.
I mean, it's true, she is a rabbit, she has got, like, a ridiculous amount of babies. But still.
Well, I was just making a joke, you took it too far, man. But no, you bring up a good point, that is funny how there's just a rabbit family with, like, loads of members, and they don't even try and address it.
I mean, also the fact I don't think the father's there, so she's a single mother looking after a ridiculous amount of babies.
Probably beheaded by Prince John.
Probably, yeah.
How's Robin Hood gonna get out of this one?
This is going to end so well for you, Sheriff of Nottingham.
You mean the good guy's gonna win? I could have never predicted this outcome.
I mean, this is generally a good way of doing a climax. Set everything on fire.
Basically. Like, Robin doesn't even have a single arrow to his name right now. You have to jump for it.
They have Stormtrooper aim.
Some of those must have hit him.
Well, you would have hoped so, because, I mean, they were, like, so close.
What do you mean, hope so? He's the hero. It's supposed to be...
Not hope so in the sense... Well, not hope so for the sake of Robin and the story and the kids watching, but more for the sake of those soldiers, because, I mean, seriously, they would probably be beheaded shortly afterwards, because it's just like, how can you miss?
Ah, the naivete of a child.
And also, you know, the naivete of Little John.
No, I don't think he's naive.
True, yeah, because he's just like, oh, he's dead.
Oh, my little britches is dead. Give it a second. Oh my god, the reeds have come alive!
I do question when Robin Hood found the time to create scuba gear, but oh well.
Oh, he's got a new hat just waiting for him as well. Bit too close, kid, bit too close. That spot's reserved for Maid Marian. Oh, Dalali. Ugh. I haven't commented on his fucking thumb sucking because it's just too pathetic for words.
I mean, that's kind of the point.
Oh, and off they go, into the distance. Did he just kill Hiss?
No. He didn't, thankfully. But obviously, everyone's happy, apart from, you know, Prince John being, you know...
Clapped in irons.
Yeah.
I like the idea of King Richard coming back going, oh, not this shit again. Alright, Robin, you're pardoned.
Yeah. Although, I mean, that is pretty much what happens, I think, in most of the Robin Hood stories, is that he receives a pardon. There is, I think, it does go a bit further than that, in that I think after a while, Robin then longs for the Sherwood Forest and then goes and then eventually dies. But there is this sort of wonderful happy ending-y bit, so that's always good.
So, Robin Hood, mate, your thoughts overall?
Not the best Disney film ever, but it's got a very special place in my heart, and I will love it because it's fun, it's charming, and just... yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, I would agree. Like I said at the start of the film, it's not the best of the Disney films. I would say, I would probably put it in, like, maybe the top 20, not the top 15, definitely not the top 10. But thanks to my Nottinghamshire pride, I can't not love it, you know?
Exactly.
Reused animation frames and all.
Also, I'm pretty sure reused carriage, because I'm pretty sure that's the one from Cinderella.
It never ends, Richie, it never ends. Okay, guys, this has been the HFC Disneython 2 commentary of Robin Hood, and we shall see you all tomorrow for yet another movie commentary. So, goodbye, and we hope you have enjoyed the flick. Bye-bye.